Doomsday 3.
Yeah, we had Doomsday 1.
No question in my mind.
He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix, both in his country and of course.
For safety and
Got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass the ball. You better get the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to former Dallas,
for sure, and they would have thrown it off because this guy gets off you.
And then I go to bed every night like, G-Man, I promise you that What is up, Cowboys Nation? Mike Tag here, Kelly K9. You know we got the show going. It's Wednesday night, same time, same place. So if you guys are strolling in, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit the kind of thumbs up. Make sure you just share it with Cowboys Nation because let everybody know we're in the house. We get this thing rolling. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We got a busy, packed show. So we're going to get rolling, but hey, I got to check in with my man K9. How you feeling? Talked a little bit. You got Tech playing tonight. They're looking good. So I know you're feeling good about March Madness, getting that thing rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing good, feeling great. And yeah, there's a lot of Cowboys news to cover, man, which is a good thing. Kind of a 180 of last year where we didn't really have shit to talk about.
I mean, it is starting off to a fast start. We're going to get into it. But as people are coming in, just want to remind everyone, we are looking, right? I'll let you roll with it, Kelly, with our fan of the month. Let everyone know what they got to do.
Yeah, we're looking for our next fan of the month. So for those of you that are on Twitter, all you got to do, I have it posted, my @ if you're not following me, then I don't know what the hell is going on with you, because you should be. It's @Kelly_K_9. I've got a tweet on there. All you need to do is like it, repost it, and comment a screenshot showing that you're a subscriber in the chat. Next week, I'll do a drawing. We'll do a drawing, and we'll have a random drawing for all the people that are entered in. One winner will be the fan of the month for the month of March. You will come on a Wednesday. We'll get you scheduled on the show. We'll promote it, get you on the show. You get to come on, chop it up with me and Mike. You also get a custom cut from from one of our sponsors there, Cuts by Jones, who does great work. So you'll get one of those, really cool little Cowboys helmet, got the star on it and everything. Nice little cut there for you to take. And also you get to chop it up with me and Mike. You can tell us, you get to learn more about you, know how you became a Cowboys fan. You get to vent your frustrations, talk your optimism, call Jerry Jones, dried up dusty nutsack, whatever you may want to do on this show. We're going to allow you to give you that platform to come on here with me and Mike. So it's going to be a good time. I'm going to run this up until the end of the weekend, basically till Sunday. And then I think maybe Tuesday night I might come on just for a quick little live and do that, because I know we're going to have a guest on the show next Wednesday. So I don't want to take too much time. Either that or we might do it next Wednesday during the show. One of the two. I'll announce it as soon as it's over, but I'm going to give you till Sunday. So if you are not on X and you're not a subscriber on X, let me know here in the chat. Obviously, I can look and see, if you're a subscriber, then I'll get you added too as well. So if you're not on X, you want to be entered into the contest to be fan of the month, come on the show with us, let me know, or let Mike know, and we'll get working on that and get your name put in there as well. So a lot of fun, man. Looking forward to it. And it's been a pretty good turnout so far. I think right now we're up to, a dozen entries, maybe a little bit more. I hadn't gone and checked back, but people were excited about the chance to get to come on the show with us, Mike. So it was a good thing.
No, and we love having it. We had a great time with Mike from UK. So you could stay on for the whole show. I mean, we thought it was going to be a segment, but we had just such great conversation with Mike talking about the Cowboys that he just hung, and we did the whole show. I think we stayed on later than we thought we were going to.
Yeah.
Poor guy was up at like 2 a.m. to do the show. So definitely going to do that. So it's a great opportunity. Plus, March is kind of a fun time because when we do it, free agency's kind of, will be a few weeks in. The draft is going to be coming up. So there'll be a great opportunity to really talk some Cowboys. So definitely, if you're not following us on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it is, we both reposted. I reposted it. He posted it. Also, Facebook, you can find Mike Tag, Cowboys Caves on Facebook as well. And Instagram, you can look for just Mike Tag or Kelly, and you'll find us on there as well. Just do some searches and you'll get us on there. So many ways to find us. But like Kelly said, if you have none of that, you don't want to talk to nobody in social media, just put it in a comment and we'll jot you guys down. We'll just have to get your email or something, or just throw your email in there. We'll figure it out. So anyway, we've got a packed show. We're going to definitely talk about a lot of the Cowboy stuff. But one thing I wanted to just, for a lot, we've got so many new subscribers, so definitely appreciate it. But talk about Jimmy Johnson. He retires from Fox. I'll be honest with you. I thought he retired at the Super Bowl because, when you're at the Super Bowl party, you really can't hear a lot. So I saw this big tribute, the AI tribute. So I thought it was his last show. So I thought he was already gone. And then I saw the tweet come out, and Jimmy Johnson is officially retired, man. I guess I tweeted out, man, he's going to go fishing. I know he loves his boat. He has his restaurant down in Key Largo, and I think he's just going to be enjoying life. But what a career. It's amazing. 30+ years on Fox. Could it be that long?
End of an era, man. He was, it's gotten to the point where he was just kind of a staple of Sunday mornings. I don't know about you, but Fox NFL Sunday has always been my favorite one to watch. That's the one I turn on. There's several of them you can choose from. You got CBS, you got ESPN, you got NFL Network, but Fox was always my go-to, man, because you go get to see my guy Jimmy, man, and I loved it, man. So, but he deserves it, man. A great career on the field, off the field. No matter how you look at it, he's an all-time great, man. And so I wish him a lot of fun and hopefully he catches all the big fish down there in Florida.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to remind everyone, Kelly and we had Greg was on. We had different guests coming in. I know Jay Tuck stopped in. And we did a Jimmy Johnson tribute, and it was kind of like a 2-part thing. And we had a lot of fun. And I don't know if you remember it, Kelly, but we had a lot of former players that played for Jimmy Johnson, coached with Jimmy Johnson, come into the cave. So I just want to give you guys a little snippet because, like I said, we got a lot of new subscribers. So this was one of the tributes, and this was when he was going to the Ring of Honor. And we're all going there to watch him. Remember the Lions game and all that fun we had before the disaster started with that year. But here's kind of, if you didn't see it, this is what we did, and maybe go back and find it in our archives and check it out. Here we go. Let's get it on there.
Coach Jimmy Johnson, I just want to say congratulations, my friend, on being inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. You were one of the best, Coach, and I remember on draft day when you called me. Growing up as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I was looking for the Philadelphia Eagles to call me, but when I got the one and only call from the Dallas Cowboys, it was such a great thing. And I just want to congratulate you and say that I love you, Coach, and God bless you.
Yeah, that was awesome. And Eric Williams. Boy, could we use a guy like that nowadays?
Man, we can use an Eric Williams on that offensive line, man. For those of you that don't know, those of you that were too young, because I know, there's a large portion of our fan base that ain't never seen a Super Bowl and didn't get to see some of these guys play. Man, Eric Williams was a bad mammoth. Shit. It was one of the. It's arguably there's a lot of people, I've heard you say it before, Mike, that he's the greatest offensive lineman, to come through the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously career cut a little bit short. A lot of people mentioned Larry Allen, but Eric Williams could have been what Larry Allen became if not for some injury things. Unfortunately, cut his career a little bit short, but man, however you want to look at that, dude's an all-timer, man. And then, that was a lot of fun hearing those guys and the love that they got for Jimmy. And you see that too, man, from the guys that are on his on the pregame show as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's just so well liked by everybody, but definitely check it out if you guys missed it. I mean, we had Coach Dave Campo was on there. Steve Walsh, his quarterback from Miami, and of course the Dallas Cowboys. Moose Johnston, he popped in. I think there was Jim Jeffcoat came by, and it was just a really fun show. So I know like I said, a lot of you guys weren't subscribers. You weren't on the show when you're in there, and that's why our archives of interviews and some of these shows are timeless. So definitely check it out. We wish Jimmy Johnson the best. We sure the hell wish he was he was still around with the Cowboys. That would be kind of nice. But go fishing and enjoy it. I think we got a super chat.
We did.
What did it say? You lose it?
Evening, boys. I'll be the first to say that Adams or Metcalf aren't young guys, but it would be great if we get either one of them for the right price. Yeah, I think the issue with that would be, in terms of my opinion, is obviously Devontae Adams is an actual free agent, whereas Metcalf you're going to have to trade for. And I don't know that I want to give up draft capital and have to pay a guy, because that's what you're going to have to do with Metcalf. You're going to have to give up probably, I would imagine, at least a second, probably third at worst, and then you're going to have to pay him as well. And he's going to, and he's probably not going to command money that, I think with the money that's freed up, the Cowboys could afford to do that. But to give up draft capital and pay the guy, I'm not really down with that. I'd rather get a guy that you don't have to do that on. I mean, I'll be honest with you. One of the guys that I kind of look towards.
Oh, don't spill it. Don't spill it. Don't spill it.
Okay. I'll hold back on it. I'll let it know that. Hold back.
That's one of our segments. So you guys with your free agents, I want you guys, because I got a name. I got a name too. And I want to see if our minds are alike, or if anything's happening.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
So let's talk about some news. Obviously, some of this happened, but we didn't get a chance to comment on it too much. I'm working too much. I don't know what's going on. My job's killing me. I'm working too much. So I miss all the tweets. I had to ask my son. He said something about Dak. I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? What I missed? But Osa is back. And you and I talked about it last week. And we said, you know what? For the right price, I'm good with Osa. Didn't want to pay, top dollar defensive tackle. But the contract that he's at, I think it's a win for Dallas. I think it's a win for Osa. It's a good contract. It puts him right in that top 12, top 13 defensive tackles, which for his age and his production, you can't argue. I don't think you can argue that. I think it's a great deal, and we probably couldn't afford to lose a defensive tackle, because that's not a spot of strength. So, and I think with Eberflus's defense, I think this is a critical spot for him. D tackle is one of those guys that are important in his scheme. So, what's your thoughts on Osa? You happy? Everything looking good?
I am. I mean, I'm definitely happy. So, I mean, I heard that the franchise tag actually was a little bit higher than I thought. I thought it was like 24, but apparently I don't know if it's because the cap actually went up, but it went up to 25.5 million. I thought that was a little bit steep. But Osa's going to end up, they had initially talked about maybe 21 million per year type average. He's closer to the 20 million per year now. Instead of 21, which is even better than what I initially thought. I would have been in at 21 million per year. 20 million is even better. Puts him at about 15th, 16th highest paid DT. And that's without free agency coming around. And there's some guys that are going to get some new deals, and you're going to see by the time it's all said and done, he'll probably be around 20th highest paid. I think that's pretty good for a guy that, look, we understand that he struggles a little bit with the run game, but I think that's also because he does not have somebody on the other side of him manning that one tech to help out with him. And I think, you need a guy. Right now, Mozzie Smith, he's not the guy there. We need a different guy there on the other side of Osa to help create that pressure in the middle to stop that run. But Osa it was rated as one of the better pass rushing defensive tackles. And that's something that you can't put a price on. When you're getting that pressure up the middle, it's able to create more opportunities for Parsons off the edge, and Nealand, if he's coming off the other edge, whoever our other defensive end is going to be. So I like it. I'm down with it. I thought it was a great sign. I thought it was a great price that we got him at. Didn't overpay, and I'm I'm down with it, man. I like it. I think it's a good sign. And also, I might add, the way that they did it, the way that they were able to get him signed before having a franchise tag him, before the deadline, it just showed that they were moving with a sense of purpose. Now, I'm not ready to sit there and rain down champagne on the Dallas Cowboys front office for doing things that they should be doing, but it's an encouraging sign compared to what we saw last year, right? Where we were just a stick in the mud the whole damn offseason. So I like it.
Definitely. And one other thing I think we both kind of like, this was when my son tweeted out, but Dak and CeeDee restructured their contracts this week. You know, CeeDee being first, Dak second. It opens up $50+ million in cap space. Shout out to our man Bugsy. He took a lot of heat for what he said. Got a lot of shrapnel. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing he was joking, because I'm sure he understood how the restructure was just moving money aside. If Bugsy's in here, I'm sure he can defend himself. But CeeDee tweeted it, and he assured him this is about winning, and he wants to do what he can. But like I said,
well,
the thing I will say, just Kelly, real quick, is I wanted to tweet it, but I just got so busy today I never could. I hope this puts to rest the bullshit that I got to see in media that is just so ridiculous, where they cherry pick and they build their narrative, and they say, Dak Prescott's making $89 million this year. You know, Josh Allen's only making 55 and Lamar Jackson's only making 50. They forget to tell you that the last part of the contract, he was making $1 million. It's all about where you put the money. And this contract was built to move it around. Now he's in the 50 range. So are they going to come out and say, well, now he's not 89 million. Now he's not 89 million cap hit. It's in the 50s, which is right in line with your, you know, top tier kind of quarterback. So hopefully that shuts that crap down. And I know they do it for the clicks and all that, but what's your thoughts? It opens up a lot of money for this team.
Yeah, no, it does. And, you know, and that's the thing too, is that it was kind of funny to me though, that CeeDee kind of took the route of basically like, here, pat me on the back. I did something special. You know, CeeDee Lamb's not taking less money. I mean, he's still making the same amount of money. They just converted when he's actually getting the money, because the guaranteed money don't change. The, you know, average per year doesn't change. Like, it all stays the same. It's just them shuffling and moving money around. It's basically like if I'm making $100,000 a year and they say, you know what, this month we're going to pay you, you know, we're going to pay you $5,000. Next month we're going to pay you $8,000. And then the back end of the month, you know what I'm saying? It's just that's what it is. And that's what they do. It's built into these contracts. The players don't have any say in whether they're getting restructured. These deals get restructured whether they want to or not. It's built into their contract already that they can restructure. They can convert, you know, some of the salary into bonus, signing bonus, as long as the guaranteed money balances out, as long as the contract balances out what they're supposed to get paid. It doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really matter. So I just thought it was a little funny that CeeDee kind of gave himself a little pat on the back, because Dak Prescott did the same thing. And, you know, and Micah Parsons, when he gets signed, is going to do – every single player that has ever been in the history of the NFL restructures their deals. It's a quite common deal. It's not anything out of the ordinary. It's not CeeDee Lamb going above and beyond. I like the message that he had, you know, about, you know, it takes more than, you know, but I felt like it was also him saying, like, yeah, I'm taking less money. You're not taking less money. That wasn't like anything. You did us a favor. We were going to restructure you regardless. It was happening. Yeah. So the teams can either do it, restructure, or they can eat the money all up front. They could not restructure and just decide, hey, we'll keep the contract as it is, take the big, large hit, which then gives you a smaller hit down the road. I feel like there's a lot of people that unfortunately just kind of don't, and not unfortunately, because I didn't for a long time too, but just doesn't understand the inner workings and how the way the salary cap is structured, how the way these contracts are structured, and how that money works when you have a front-loaded versus back-loaded versus spread out over the entirety of a contract. So, but hey, look, listen, bottom line is we freed up money. We freed up, you know, 30-some million with Dak. We freed up 20-some million with CeeDee. The Cowboys went from being cash-strapped to, you know, hide your money, y'all. It's broke people.
One of my favorites, and I'm showing, you know, some of the stuff with the Cowboys. I got to put my glasses on when I do this because I can't see. But a lot of this is what you're seeing with the Cowboys, and this is, you know, like you said, you could educate yourself. Over the cap is there. I mean, that's why we laugh at Jerry and Steven. They want to make it like they're, you know, these cap gurus. We're not stupid anymore. There's too much data, too much stuff out there. So you see Dak's cap number drops to 52. Micah is obviously on that option. It's 24 million as he get. But if the point is if they re-sign him, they can lower that. Terrence Steele is at an 18 million cap hit. CeeDee is now only a 15 million cap hit. Diggs is a 12 million cap hit. Zach Martin obviously retiring, so you got a 10 million cap hit there. Donovan Wilson on down, which I think a lot of us think with Donovan Wilson and probably maybe Malik, maybe they might be moving on. But you see Osa, for what he did, he's only a 6.25 cap hit. And so there's ways that they manipulate the cap, and there's ways around it. So there is no secret to it. The question I would have next, and then we want to get into some heavy free agency. That's why I didn't want you to spill the beans, is Micah Parsons. I mean, the thing we saw with Dak is they dragged it out, and the price never goes down. It always goes up. Max Crosby is now, I believe, the highest paid non-quarterback. He just got a contract. I think it was 3 years, 108 million. So he's into 36 million, 30, whatever. My math in high school, I'm a Broward educated kid, so it's not great, but it's a lot of money. And so you gotta expect Micah Parsons is going to eclipse that. He'll be $1 million over that, or 2 million, whatever it ends up being. Would you like to see Dallas just get this shit done now? Don't drag it out.
I would, but at the same time, I don't think it's something. It frees up an extra 18 million. I don't think it's something they absolutely have to right now. I don't think it's something that is absolutely necessary they do now. If they hadn't restructured CeeDee, if they hadn't restructured Dak and freed up, a little over $50 million, of money that they have right now, then and with getting Osa and everything on there, then I would be worried about it. But the fact that they've got money right now to where when free agency starts next week, they can start making moves. They can start signing people, and then they with the money that they have, they could go out right now without even restructuring Parsons. They could go out right now and they could snag. I mean, honestly, probably anywhere from 3 to 5 different guys that all would be good signings. And when I say that, I don't mean guys that are mid-tier. I mean guys that are pretty decent guys, Pro Bowl caliber guys. I think that they could go out and get. So they've put themselves in a good position to go out and be aggressive, which is why, I mean, when we talk about Parsons, we talk about kind of how Jerry and them are saying, there's some things we got to figure out or whatever. I sit there and look at that. It's a little bit different than what we saw last year, where it was them dragging their feet on Dak, them dragging their feet on CeeDee, and in the meantime, several guys were getting signed before CeeDee that just kept bumping the price up. Max Crosby got his deal. My guess is that there's not anybody coming in the league that's going to come in above Crosby that the Cowboys are going to have to worry about. So they know where the figure's at. They know where they need to be. Now it's about years, length of contract, guaranteed money, and all of that. And I think that'll all get sorted out.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%, and I think it'll get done. I think Parsons' personality is one where I don't think he really cares. Like, I think he knows it's going to be fine. So I don't think it's going to be one of those things that there's going to be any tension, there's going to drag out or anything like that. So I'm with you. So I think it will get done. When it gets done, I think it'll be fine. I don't think this is going to hinder them if they want to get free agents. You and I kind of talked about it before, and we're going to now spend probably the rest of our show kind of talking about free agency starting next week. I said, everything feels good, right? You get the Osa deal done, Dak. I mean, now we're freeing up some money. And Jerry just, they can't just let us have a nice weekend. They gotta say those one-liners to kind of get us frustrated. And Jerry comes out and, you probably know the quote better than me because I just heard it real quick. Like I said, I was crazy, but basically just not, what was it with free agency, not aggressive, or we're not in an urgency, or not going to be, we don't need free agents to fill our voids. Is that it? Did I remember it right?
He said that he was not going to use free agency to fill the voids. He said we can fill the voids that we have. We're going to look to fill the voids that we have through the draft, which is total bullshit because there's not any way with the holes on this draft that you're doing that. I mean, fuck, man, just right off the top of my head, you've got, you need at least one linebacker, maybe even two. You're going to
Kendricks is not back, right?
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're going to need a line, after the linebacker, you're going to need at least one offensive lineman. You're going to have to figure something out there, whether it be with whether a guard, whether a right tackle. You're going to need an offensive lineman, a starting offensive lineman, in my opinion. You need another defensive tackle to go on the other side of Osa. You need a running back, if not two running backs. You need another wide receiver. Like, you've got too many holes to go into the draft and think that you can draft and hit a starter on every single one of those. And not even just a starter, a guy that's going to be an impactful starter. If you want to get yourself better, if you want to better this team, then that's what you're going to need. And there is no way in hell, first of all, that I believe Jerry Jones when he says that, because Stephen Jones, I wonder if these two dudes actually sit down and talk to each other, because Stephen Jones is talking about we're going to be aggressive in free agency and saying we're going to handle things a little bit different. Just saying this a couple of days ago, then Jerry Jones comes out and says we're not going to be aggressive. I wouldn't say we're going to be aggressive. I'd say we're going to fill our holes in the draft. It's like, do you guys even talk to each other? It's like Tweedledee and Tweedledum out here. What are you guys doing? So why would you free up all this money and restructure all these restructure these deals and get all this money freed up if you had no intention of spending it? It would make zero sense, because if they thought that they had criticism last year, let them go out and be a stick in the mud in free agency and sign absolutely zero people this year. Let them do that again with $60-something million on the books and see the kind of flame that they get. I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think it's all lip service. We'll see. But so talking about free agents, and I see some guys putting some names in there, and you guys keep doing it. There is a name in there that intrigues me. But I wanted to ask you were going to spill a name that you're looking at. So when you're looking at this free agency, who is someone that you'd like to say, you know what, I think Cowboys should target this guy? Who would be one that you would just off the top of your head?
So mine, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it'll be the same guy as you, but maybe it will. I don't think it's a guy that a whole lot of people are saying. I think I've seen his name in the chat once. I like Tyler Lockett from Seattle.
Damn it, you and I are like blood brothers. My son, if you're listening, you confirm what we sat at the dinner table, and I said, the one guy that I would really like him to get, because I always liked him, Tyler Lockett. Man, I get chills. You and I are like, we're like this. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, I listen. The reason why I like him, I think he's still, he's not a guy that's over the hill. I know Seattle released him, but they've got some things. It looks like they're starting to maybe kind of go towards maybe a youth movement. But look, he's a guy that absolutely still can take the top off of defense. He is a guy that is a true deep threat, and he's a consistent deep threat, right? Because I know we got Turpin, who's had a few gadget plays where he's been able to go deep. But I mean, for all that CeeDee Lamb brings to the table, he's not a guy who I would really consider a deep threat that you're going to go. Yeah. He's the guy who can, you better watch out. You better play, 10 yards off this dude, because he's going to blow past you. Tyler Lockett can absolutely still do that. I saw him do it this year. Hell, I had him on one of my damn fantasy football leagues. He was productive in that. He's still a productive wide receiver, and he's a guy that I don't think you would have to pay a ton of money for. I think you could get him on a reasonable price deal and still go out and draft you a wide receiver. So then you've got yourself CeeDee Lamb, a young rookie wide receiver, and a Tyler Lockett type guy who can take the top off of defense. I love it. I'm absolutely down with Tyler Lockett.
And I would say maybe Andrew, I know he's 32, but he doesn't play that way. He's not a guy that's gotten beat up, injured. He's always solid. And what I think maybe, Kelly, if you are on the same page, we're not asking him to be the two. Like, I still think they got to draft a two. But he's a guy that can come in. I have no faith in a lot of our receivers. I'm just being honest with you. Yeah, I think he's the guy to come in. He's a veteran. He's a smooth route runner. He'll bring some consistency, and some veteran leadership to that locker room. He's played in big games. He's a guy that you'd want in that locker room. So I like Tyler Lockett. Again, you could throw out Devontae Adams, and you could throw – those aren't reasonable. I mean, we're not going to go pay all this money for that. It just doesn't make business sense, to be honest with you, because you've got a lot of money tied in to CeeDee Lamb. You draft a guy, you draft a receiver. Hopefully one of these top ones in the first round would make me very happy, but you get a Tyler Lockett that is there. I mean, I would be very happy. I'd be very happy because he makes big plays and he's clutch. So.
I would be too, because again, like you say, I think he's a number 3 receiver. I mean, you look at him and you look at, he had 600 yards last year with two touchdowns, 894 with 5. But, you also got to look at the quarterback he's playing with. I mean, he's been playing with Geno. And while I'm not saying that he hasn't done decent with the Seahawks, but nobody's regarding him as a top 15 quarterback. You pair him with Dak. Give him, playing across from CeeDee Lamb and a rookie wide receiver. I think he could have a very productive season. He's only had 7 years. Here's the thing that I love about him, though, too, along with what you said, is one, I don't think he's coming in as a number 2. I think he'd be your number 3 if you still go into the draft thinking draft a wide receiver. Look, he has played every single game his entire career. He has not missed one game due to injury. Not one. He's played every single game. 7 years, 114 games played, 114 games started.
Yeah.
We need that kind of stuff, right? You look at a guy like Brandon Cooks, and as much as I thought Brandon Cooks was good for the season, he's had injury concerns. That's been a thing with him. He's had injuries. He's been injured. He hasn't been, so you're talking about getting a guy that's got 7 years under his belt. He's a guy that's been consistent. He's a guy that can take the top off of defense and make big plays, which we need down the field. We need to be more explosive down the field. And he's a guy who's always healthy. What do we have our biggest problem with last year? Injuries. Guys not being able to stay on the field. This guy has been as consistent as it gets when it comes to being on the field and being available to play.
Yeah. And Flournoy, I mean, maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. I mean, it's like I tell people, I mean, what was he? 7th round pick. I mean, it's not, and hey, I know there's diamonds in the rough and he could be, but he had opportunity. I didn't see him explode. And you take a guy like the kid from Houston, Tank Dell, who was in the 5th round. He came on the scene. He took his spot and he just went rolling. Victor Cruz back in the day. I mean, he took his spot and he went rolling. I didn't see Flournoy do that. So maybe he has it in him. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I think if the Cowboys draft a receiver, I still think you need to get a veteran on the team. And I think you need to, you don't want to overpay. And I think Tyler Lockett would be an affordable option for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if that would happen. I'm just saying, as a fan, I would be happy with that. I mean, we're not going to do backflips. He's not getting 1,500 yards or nothing like that. But I think he brings ability to the offense. And the deep threat
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's funny because I did not think that we were going to be having that. I didn't think we were going to be saying the same guy, but I think it's funny.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Guy. I'm glad you waited. I'm glad you should have said it.
This is why the Cowboys cave works. You know what I mean? This is why it works. So.
Absolutely. So looking at, and I had some of the free agents up. I'll throw them back up again. I got to put my glasses on because I can't see. But when you look at the free agents that are out there, obviously you've got your big dogs up top, Milton Williams, defensive tackle. You can get an offensive as Staley. Obviously, Darnold's not going to be. Josh Sweat. Chris Godwin's an interesting receiver, but he comes off a lot of injuries. That's the only thing that would worry me about him. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, what's your thoughts on Diggs? You heard the rumors, but I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, his cap hit really isn't that bad. Could you see the Cowboys moving on from Diggs? And if it is, then you're going to have to look at a cornerback.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know that though. I mean, yes, they could save some money if they did move on from him, but I just don't know that they will at this point right now. I think they'll try to roll the dice with him one more year, is what I feel. And so, yeah, I don't think they're going to move on from him. But I feel like that. I mean, one name that intrigues me is Jonathan Allen from the Commanders. They were talking about that they're looking for a trade partner, but then they also mentioned if they can't find one, they're going to release him. Now, when that kind of thing starts to happen, what team's going to trade for a guy if you just basically admitted, that if you can't find a trade partner, you're going to release him.
Yeah.
I'd go after him in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't think he'd cost you as much as some of these top guys that are out there right now. I'd have no problems pairing him up next to Osa inside that interior defensive line. As far as linebackers, I still like Nick Bolton from Kansas City. The interesting thing about him, though, I actually looked it up this year. Had a little bit of an off year this year, and if you look at him and Kendricks and put them side by side, overall Kendricks actually graded out better than him as a 33-year-old linebacker. Kendricks actually had a pretty solid season this year, and I mean, I'll be honest, I know that he was brought in because of the Mike Zimmer connection. Zimmer's not here anymore, obviously. It's Eberflus here, but I mean, I would not be opposed to signing Kendricks to a 1-year deal. I thought he played great last year. The part, I guess, where you could say maybe he struggled a little bit was maybe in your pass, pass coverage. But in terms of rushing the passer, he had 3 sacks on the year, which was, I think, good enough for, I think it was 13th or 14th of all active linebackers. I mean, you look him up on PFF, and Kendricks played pretty good. And I know he's a year older, but I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back on a cheap 1-year deal. I really wouldn't. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. And I think we're going to need 2 linebackers, in my opinion, this year. I think we need 2 of them. I'd sign Kendricks. I might go after a guy like Nick Bolton from Kansas City because he's still very young. I also like what he brings to the table. I also think because of the fact he did have a little bit of a down year, that you can go out and probably get a guy like him and not have to pay top 5 linebacker type money, and those are the kind of guys that the Cowboys are going to be looking at to get. So,
yeah, no, and I agree. A guy from Kansas City, obviously Greenlaw would be another. I mean, you're talking about guys that are coming from playoff type teams that have winning consistently. That's what I'm looking at for the Cowboys in free agency, is getting guys in. The old way of doing it, man. Pluck some guys from some of these teams that are been winning consistently and get that culture, get those veteran guys in there to show the way. It raise the level of competition and expectation. Yeah. That's what I would really like. Here's a name. I didn't think we'd get through a show, and I knew we'll never get through a show without this name coming up always. Not Greenlaw, Amari Cooper. I was waiting for the Amari Cooper message, and he's going to be tied to Dallas, I think, until he retires. It's always going to be Amari Cooper. I mean, I like Amari Cooper. I don't know if that ship has sailed. There was obviously some bad, I don't want to say bad blood, but there was something that happened to make the Dallas Cowboys dump him the way they did. Maybe it's between him and Jerry. I know it was around the COVID time, and he didn't want the COVID shot, which I don't, my opinion is it's your body, your choice. It's no one's business, and everyone had their own choice if they wanted to do it or not. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I don't know if I see Cooper coming back to Dallas.
I don't. I don't, me personally. I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't throw fits about it and say that it's a bad sign. I think he's still a good wide receiver who could be productive. But I just kind of feel like that ship has sailed. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just me personally.
Fresh blood. Get some fresh blood in here.
Yeah, because how often it doesn't happen very often that guys leave a place and then come back. You know what I mean? It's just, face it. It doesn't happen very often. You know what I mean?
And when it does it work out? I mean,
that's what I say. Look at Zeke. Look at Zeke last year. That's a prime example of a guy who came back to a team that, second go around was not great. You know what I mean? And
and it probably would have been better if he didn't, right? Because then that's the memory people have. And Zeke had a great, really solid career with the Dallas Cowboys, rushing championships, all pros and all this and that. And, the last memory people have is the last year Zeke. And that's probably unfair, to him. So,
yeah. And so, but the thing is that the good thing about, all the money that the Cowboys have freed up, though, is that it really does. It allows them to go out at the start of free agency, and it allows them to get whoever they've targeted. I mean, if they want to go and make a run at somebody, they can. Doesn't mean they'll get them because somebody could come out and outbid them. But it's very encouraging because at this same time last year, the Cowboys went into free agency with no money.
Yeah,
and they had no money.
That was the excuse.
Yeah,
right.
That was the excuse. We got no money. We got no money. And then, you know what happened? They signed Dak, signed CeeDee. Money was freed up. But I mean, that's the thing is that this year going into, which is why I don't, I tell people, but look, don't believe what Jerry said. Last year, Jerry was saying he was going all in and did absolutely jack shit. This year, he's saying we're not going to fill holes in free agency. And I mean, that's kind of a 180, right? A complete 180. Last year, he's all in, does nothing. This year, he's saying he's not going to do anything in free agency. I have a feeling this Dallas Cowboys team is going to be active. Jane Slater even had one not that long ago, that was where it was. It was from Steven. She said, I have been told the Cowboys are not done yet. They are still going to be aggressive in terms of freeing more money up, which points to being active in free agency. The Dallas Cowboys cannot have watched what the rest of these teams in the NFC East did with the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles and think that they can just continue to try to fill holes in the draft. It just don't work. And Jerry's not that stupid, so I don't believe Jerry when he says he's not going to try to fill holes in free agency. I think the Cowboys are going to be active. You don't have all that money sitting out there just to let it sit out there. You just don't.
No, I'm with you 100%. A couple names that come out, and we'll talk about Philly. So Philly, they give Barkley kind of some more money and the deal. That's interesting. They did the same with their linebacker. And then they cut Slay and Bradbury. I mean, is there any interest on any Eagles? I mean, the one Eagle that I would be interested in, but I don't think it would happen, would be their D tackle. I mean, I would be happy with Milton Williams coming over here. But, I mean, do you think maybe Slay and Bradbury probably, especially if you have Diggs and you've got Bland, you got to hope you're bringing J-Lou back. I mean, do you really have a spot for him?
So my thing with Diggs is when will Diggs actually be available for play, though? Because wasn't his injury late in the season? Isn't he going to miss a good portion of the season?
I know it was late in the season. I don't know if he's going to miss a good portion of the season. Maybe anyone in the chat, if you guys know the extent, if it is something that's going to linger.
I'm not sure how long but I'm just saying if he's going to be out for half of the season. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't mind Darius Slay. I know he's an older guy, and I know that he is. He's getting up there in age, and he's getting pushed out because they got two phenomenal rookies that they drafted, and that's why he's getting pushed out. It's not because he can't still play ball. So I mean, if there was going to be a thing where Diggs is going to miss significant time, and again, I apologize that I haven't actually looked that up, and I've been thinking about it for the past month because I can't remember. I just know he got hurt late in the season, and then I can't remember if he's going to play. I thought he was going to miss most of the season. Honestly, I did.
I didn't think. I mean, obviously, I know what's his name.
Well, yeah, because I mean, wasn't it a tear? I thought Diggs that it was a tear.
Yeah, I know Overshown was the one.
Overshown for sure is definitely not going to be here for. They said that he, if he was to come back, that it would be maybe playoff time.
Diggs had surgery on his left knee. Battled surgery. They're hopeful Diggs can return next season at some point. All right.
Yeah.
Even if he's not ready to start at the beginning of training camp. So it doesn't say that, and I mean, can you cut a player if he's injured? I thought you can't cut him.
I believe that you can.
Unless you do like an injury settlement or something like that.
I believe that you can still. I believe that you can still cut him. Because they were talking about the fact that they might cut him, but he suffered that injury in week 14, and it says it was reported he's expected to miss 8 months. So if he's missing 8 months.
Let's say that the injury was December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July.
Around the time of training camp.
Yeah.
It'll be around the time of training camp, so maybe he won't miss as much time as I actually thought he might miss. But
he's coming off a knee injury.
No, he is. A second knee injury on
Yeah.
the opposite leg. I mean, in 2023, or 2022, it was 2022, I think, was it that he got the one, and then it was 2024, 2 years later, he got the next one. But no, it's out of the, in terms of the Eagles, which, is for free agency, Milton Williams would be the guy that I would want, but I think you're paying him pretty good money. I think he's probably going to get, I would imagine you're paying him definitely more than you're paying Osa.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's the number one defensive tackle right now in this free agency period. So I'd say you're probably paying him. I would imagine you're paying him top 5 money, defensive tackle wise, which is to be a pretty hefty price tag. But here's the thing: remember how we've talked about building the trenches through free agents? So listen, if the Cowboys were going to go out there and they said, you know what, listen, we're going to get a guy, we're going to get a stud. We want a absolute stud. Then go out and grab him. I'd get him. I'd go take him and put him right there next to Osa.
Well, and absolutely. Let me ask you too, because I do think D-line linebackers address that through free agency. So, if you guys missed, my man Mikey Schefter came into the cave, and he did his mock draft, and he got some heat for it. But when you do the mock drafts, Kelly, you and I did it. We've done them, and it's you can't predict, what you're going to have. So the receivers were kind of gone. Genty was gone. So he took the kid Barron from Texas, a cornerback. I mean, if he got some heat for it, but the Cowboys he's on his interview list and this and that. I mean, would you be opposed if the draft didn't fall the way they wanted to early? Are you opposed to going defense? Are you opposed to an edge rusher? Are you opposed to D tackle? Are you opposed to a cornerback? I mean, to me, if I'm going first round, to me, it's an edge rusher or a cornerback, primarily a cornerback, because I think the best edge rusher is gone. But there's some good cornerbacks here, the kid from Michigan and the kid from Texas. Would that make you upset, or you would be okay?
No, absolutely not, because my thing is that, look, I know everybody wants offense, everybody wants pop on offense, everybody wants to get on offense, but just because you drafted defense in the first round at number 12 doesn't mean you're not getting an impact player. I mean, Patrick Surtain was absolutely an impact player as soon as they drafted him at the defensive back position. He was a guy that a lot of people wanted to come to the Cowboys. Denver drafted him before we could get him, and then we ended up with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, drafted at the number 12 pick, also an impact player for the Dallas Cowboys, year one. So to sit there and say that you can't draft a defensive player at 12 and not have a guy that's going to make a difference, no. As long as we draft a difference maker, that's the only thing I care about. Draft somebody that's going to impact this team for the better, one way or another, offensive side of the ball or defense. I really don't care. Defensive tackle, defensive back, safety, linebacker, I don't really care. I don't have a preference. Look, I'd like to see them go wide receiver in the first round, but I'm not going to be a guy that's going to freak out if that.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, and my man Bobby,
I don't think they will.
What? Say it again. You're breaking up.
I said I don't think they will draft DB, but.
No, I'd be surprised. But our man Bobby is here. I hadn't seen you in a while, Bobby. But DeMarcus Lawrence, is his time up in Dallas? I think they'll work out a deal. I don't know. I don't think Bobby's going to, or I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to demand or get a lot of money in the open market. He's got a lot of ties to Dallas. Obviously, he's been here a long time. He's at the downside of his career. So I mean, I got to think that they're gonna work out a deal and he'll be back. Is he the pass rusher? He's never been a dominant pass rusher, but he's always been solid there. But where he really helps and where he was missed a lot is in his run defense. And I think they're gonna figure out a way to bring him back. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think that. I think if you bring him back though, I don't think you're looking at him as being your starter, though. I think he's a guy that's a rotational guy, and you're rotating guys at that position just because injury issues, age, And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I love what he brings to the run game, but listen, DeMarcus Lawrence has not been a premier pass rusher in a couple of years now. And so I know a lot of people always say, hey, it offsets by what he brings in the run game. But look, you can get both. You can get a run stopper and a good pass rusher on that defensive end. You don't have to settle for one. So I would say with DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm fine with it. Would be fine with him finishing his career out here. Think you can get him for cheap. But I'm not. He's not going to be the guy that I'm plugging over there that's going to be playing every single snap. I mean, he's getting, a percentage of these snaps.
No, absolutely. I got to put my glasses on because I can't read. And the thing I like about DeMarcus Lawrence is he could play D tackle too. They played him a lot at D tackle, and we're thin at D tackle. There could be a way. He's a very versatile guy. We couldn't get Debo for a fifth. Imagine Debo with McMillan round 1, get Puna, stud running back in round 2, D tackle in round 3, and a deep defensive. I mean, I like where you're going with it. The thing I would say with Debo, and we talked about it before. I mean, Debo, I like him. Injured a lot. Had that one big year. 3 years ago, 4, whatever what it's been. He had 1,500 yards. He hasn't come close to 1,000 yards in his career. After that or before, you got to understand, it's a fifth, but they picked up $22 million. Our cap right now, what did I say? It was $50 million. If you went out and got Debo, now you're down to $30 million. And oh, by the way, you got to sign Parsons too. I don't think the value is there for Debo for Dallas. I think Dallas can get the production they need spending less. I mean, we'd love to have all the highest paid guys and the big price, but when you got a receiver making $35 million or whatever he's making, you're going to have to get your receiver in the draft, and you're going to have to get a veteran that is reasonable, that can get you what you need at a much lower price. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's
I don't disagree with that at all.
But anyway, so looking at the receivers, I mean, we talked about it, but in the draft, our man Doug he's high on Hampton. I think I like Hampton. I think you like Hampton.
The running back?
Yeah, the running back from North Carolina. But do you like him at 12?
No, I don't. If Hampton is the pick and that's where the Cowboys really want to go and that's where they're sold on, which I'm not convinced that they are. I think there's a lot of Cowboys fans who've been high on him, and he's rising up the draft boards. I think you can get Hampton closer to the late teens, early 20s. He's listen. Every year it happens. Guys rise up the boards, and a guy gets drafted higher than many think that they're going to. I like him. I just don't like him at 12. I mean, if that's the route you're going to go, trade back, because I don't think that other teams are going to be jumping. I don't think teams at 12 or higher, I don't think they're going to be jumping to get Hampton. I think that you could still draft him back into the teens, early 20s maybe. So if that's the way that you're going, I'd go that way. I know that a lot of people were talking about, Tet McMillan, that he's, that maybe he drops and gets to 12. And if that's the case, Cowboys should actually, absolutely take him. I like him as well. Big bodied receiver. Thing that concerns me about him is that, one of the things that the Cowboys lacked was separation. He's not a big separation guy. He's not a guy that's going to create a lot of separation. Now, granted, he makes the catches. He contested catches, jump balls, all of that. You know what I mean? He's a bigger wide receiver, but Cowboys have had problems with not separating and from the DBs, and he's a guy that didn't really show a lot of separation ability in college. So that does concern me. I know that there's plenty of people I think that I've heard from, I think Tuck was maybe one that said it. I think Nix had said it. That said that that's not an issue that concerns them. For me, it does a little bit. So, but again, I mean, I don't really know who at that 12 spot you would take outside of McMillan, because, they've said Burden's starting to fall. I think Mbuka from Ohio State, I think that's a little bit too high for him as well. So I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys could possibly be in a scenario where they trade back. That that absolutely could be a possibility where they decide to trade back. If they're wanting to fill more holes through the draft, then they're going to need more picks.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I would just say this is, I mean, I'm putting up the running back. Hopefully you can see it, Kelly. But I mean, when you're looking at these running back, I don't know if I can remember a year where you had the running back depth in the draft. You Genty, Hampton, I mean, Scattaboo, Judkins. I like both Ohio State kids, Sampson, Caleb Johnson, the Henderson from Ohio State, Harvey, Giddens, Neal. I mean, Blue. Look at Damian Martinez, and I'm not going to say he's going to be as good as Hampton, but Damian Martinez, 6 foot, 232. Look at his PFF grade at 91.1. I mean, he ran well. He had a good combine. Then you got Bashard Smith, who's more of a gadget guy. He's actually a receiver at Miami. He was a kind of an all-purpose guy. Went to SMU, did similar things, but listed as a running back. I mean, I'm going way down the list. Kalen, Mullins, and we haven't even gotten down to Taj Brooks, who you're about as high on as anybody, and he's down the list. Tootin is a 4.38 running back, the fastest one I think in the combine. I mean, he lit us up in Miami. I don't think he's an everyday guy, but he's one of those guys you can draft as well. So I guess what I'm saying is, there is so much depth at running back. I don't want to reach, and I don't want to. That's what Genty scares me. If he falls to Dallas, would they just? He's too good to pass up, because I think there's just so much depth at running back. The Cowboys should easily be able to get a running back, possibly two, which would then go back to free agents. What do you do with Rico? Would you bring Rico back? I hear Chubb. I hear this. And, I think you can get 2 running backs out of this draft that would be, there for 4 years that are going to be dynamite.
I think that me personally, I'm on the train to just draft 2 running backs. I'm fine letting Rico walk. I saw a deal where it was saying his salary that he's looking it actually said $6 million a year, which I find that a little hard to believe that he would be a $6 million per year running back. Consider that's what I think Derrick Henry signed for last year. So when it came down to it, I think Chubb was around $3 million. There was I think it was Mason was like $1.7 million or something. There was several guys out there that were still cheaper options if you wanted to go veteran. I feel like you go draft 2 running backs. Look, I was going to pull up a deal here. When you talk about running backs, PFF had, my boy Brooks way too far down there, in my opinion.
I know.
Listen, me personally, I'd feel 100% comfortable drafting him in the 3rd round. I think he's probably going to go 4th. Is where I think he falls to. But look, if you look at PFF, PFF has their career PFF grades, and I took a little screen snap of this, but of draft eligible running backs, Ashton Jenney has a 99 PFF grade, Quentin Cooley at 94.3. Here's one you'll like. Damian Martinez, 93.3 PFF grade. Keyshawn Judkins at 93.1, Taj Brooks at 93, and Trayvon Henderson at 92.8. Now, that's their PFF career grades, so that's their grades through their career. But here's the thing. When it comes to a guy like Taj Brooks, man, I just feel people sleep on this dude. He's a complete back, man. He's a guy that doesn't go down at first contact, breaks contact, good pass blocking back. He is an all-around back that you can get in the back end of one of these drafts. You know what I mean? You pick up a guy like that in the 4th round, and I mean, to me, that's a bargain pick that you could pair with a guy if you draft a guy in the 2nd round. Let's say we go running back in the 2nd round, or you go back to back. Let's say you go 3rd round, you don't have a 4th, but you go 3rd round, then you draft another in the 5th round. I'm not against that. And I'm honestly not against drafting 2 wide receivers. I know people are like, no, we got too many holes to fill. We can't double dip in the draft. Well, we absolutely could do that if we go out and address a lot of these other positions through free agency. Because if we go out and we get ourselves a defensive tackle, we go out and we grab ourselves a linebacker, we go out and we grab ourselves an offensive lineman, a swing tackle. We go out and we grab ourselves another possibly a third wide receiver. Maybe you don't even need to draft 2 wide receivers. But listen, I don't think there's anything that you can't do in the draft. It just depends on what the Cowboys, how they want to approach free agency and what the positions that they want to address and actually invest that money into,
Yeah. And I would say this, with Damian Martinez, there isn't a year. He played out west. He played there, and then he came to Miami. He hasn't had a year where he's averaged under 6 yards a carry. I mean, last year he had averaged 6.1 yards a carry. He doesn't. Miami runs an offense where they use multiple backs, so he had 160 carries. He doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, if you will, but he's a big guy and he's got deceptive speed. I'm telling you, he's going to be an NFL starter. Now, is he as good as Hampton? Is he as good as Genty? I don't know. I mean, obviously, they're ranked higher, so maybe they're better, but I can give you some running backs that are ranked a lot lower that end up better careers. So I'm just saying there is a lot of talent in this running back room. And like you said, with Taj Brooks being, way down the list on some people's list, and he's a guy that, you feel can definitely play at the next level. I think the Cowboys need to be smart. I don't think they need to reach, but I don't want them waiting past round 3 to get a running back. So
yeah, I agree. I would like to see them go within the top, within the top 3. Again, like I said, if you double dip in that area, if you decide to double dip at the running back position, let's say you got one at 3, come back around and get another one at 3 in the 5th round. Or like somebody said in the chat, we got multiple 5s. Use one of those 5s to trade back up into the 4th and grab a guy in the 4th and go 3rd and 4th running backs, because then you've got 2 rookies that can come out and kind of compete, that you can put on this roster competing for that starting spot. Because look, while I agree with you about, not wanting to go too far in the back of the draft to wait to get a running back, because then you may not get the impact player that you're looking for. I will say this, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you could draft a running back in the 2nd and then go around back and double dip again, get a guy in the 4th, maybe 5th, and the guy that comes in the 4th and the 5th may not be better than the guy that you drafted in the 2nd round, because you look through these running backs that have been drafted as of years late. We talked about it in a show, I think towards the end of the year, when we were talking about draft and we were talking about running backs. And I think it was 5 or 6 of the top 10 running backs were drafted outside of the 1st round. And a couple of those guys were 3rd round guys, 4th round guys. So, you've seen some of these running backs that have been pretty productive in the NFL be guys that are drafted in the middle the middle rounds of this NFL draft and still be very successful. So,
yeah. And I mean, the one that comes to mind, with the Cowboys is, you remember Marion Barber. Marion Barber was, you had I always get a mess up, but I think it was Felix Jones he was the running back there. Like, they drafted him in the 1st round, and Barber was, he was a later round draft pick, and Barber was the better running back. And it took a little while for Dallas to kind of make Barber the man, but eventually you always saw Barber ended up taking over the games because he just was the better running back.
Yeah.
And, you could have a very similar situation happen this year. I think we had another super chat from Mark.
We do. We got another one from Mark. Because a lot of good vet wide receivers get a wide receiver on DT and free agency. Regarding wide receivers, is there a huge difference between McMillan, Golden, and Burden? The last 2 wide receivers worth number 12. I'd say talent-wise, there probably is a pretty big difference between McMillan and Golden and Burden. Burden and Golden are a couple of speed guys. I do know that I think it was Golden that actually had the better there's 2 wide receivers from Texas.
Yeah, I think I always get them mixed up, but I think he had the better time and the other one didn't, or was it Bond? I always get them confused.
It might have been, it was one of the 2 that actually
help us out in the chat. You guys know which Texas kid had the fat. One of them said he was going to have the best time and flop,
and didn't. Yeah, and the other
one ended up having a really good time.
other guy ended up having a better actual combine than Golden. I wanted to say that it was Bond that actually had, or that it was Golden that actually had the better. Maybe, I'm not sure. Somebody probably knows. But either way, I think McMillan is in terms of wide receivers and the talent that he's got.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the first wide receiver off the board, and then I think it's a little bit of a drop off between him and your next guy. Not to say your next guy couldn't be a starter, because I think Mbuka from Ohio State is another wide receiver that would be a prospect for the Dallas Cowboys. I think could come in and be productive, right away. I even think that Burden, I'm still not, I know they said that talks about him possibly dropping out of the first round. I still wouldn't be shy about grabbing him if he went back towards the end of the first round. Snag him there, or if he dropped him in the second round, maybe trade up a little bit in the second round to snag him if you didn't think he's going to make it to you at 44. A lot of options for the Dallas Cowboys, though, and that's the good thing right now, right, is that we're able to talk about this. We're able to look at it and say, hey, look, the Cowboys they're having a lot of money right now going into free agency. Starts next, Tuesday or Wednesday of next week? Okay, so starts on the 12th of next week. So just going into free agency with a different feel. This feels different. It feels, again, like I said, I'm not ready to coronate the front office with champagne yet. No bottles of Dom Perignon being sprinkled over them yet, but it feels different. It feels like they're moving with a purpose. They're freeing up money so that they can hit free agency, on the ground running, which, still, man, I'll still tell you, Mike, it makes me scratch my head every time I think about it, because I think about they could have done this same shit last year.
I know.
They could have done the same shit last year. And it just makes you think, to what purpose did they not? Like, why? Why? I can't. The one thing that I keep thinking in my head, is that they wanted to get rid of Mike McCarthy and didn't have the balls to fire him with 1 year left on his contract. That's the only thing that I can think. It's just the only logical thing that I can think, because, I mean, they set McCarthy and that staff up to fail. Absolutely set them up to fail. And I understand Dak Prescott got hurt, but even without him getting hurt, I still think it's probably a washed season last year. So
yeah, no, I mean, look how it started. I mean, it didn't start good. And Mark, another super chat Mark. We're gonna have to. That's his new name.
Super chat Mark, his new nickname here. Is testing my eyes over here. I need to get to some of the readers. Like Mike says, if McMillan is there, we need him. If he's gone, do you go down and get picks and pick one of the other two mid-first rounders, or get a stud DT? Running back round 2 is a must. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with the running back at 2 as being a must. I'm not sure if there's going to be, if you have to trade back from 12, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get a stud defensive tackle. The thing about the defensive tackles is it tends to take those guys a little bit longer to come in and be impact players right off the bat. I mean, we saw Jalen Carter for the Eagles that first year that he got drafted. You saw flashes of it, but he definitely was not like coming out and he was not a game wrecker year 1. And I think it takes some of them guys a little bit of time to develop. It wasn't until year 2 this year that you really saw Jalen Carter really kind of the evolution of him kind of come along and start playing really, really well. So I'm not sure that I would go defensive tackle if you're not drafting at 12. And honestly, the only guy that I would get at 12, if he fell, would be Mason Graham from Michigan. Would be the only guy that I think that I would want to draft in the first round and then roll him out there as a starter. Not to say that I wouldn't draft a defensive tackle for depth and maybe development. Just I'm not going to do it in the first round. First round, I want a guy that's coming out. Like I said, we've talked about it. Got to be an impact guy. And I just don't think you're getting an impact defensive tackle at that part of the draft unless a guy like Mason Graham falls to you. And if that case happens, I don't think you pass up on a talent like that. So
no. Well, breaking news from Rick, and I confirmed it on NFL.com. Joey Bosa just got released from the Chargers. 9-year veteran, 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a guy.
Listen, I'd take him.
And things like that you always deal with, but that's a guy when he's there, he's a problem.
I'd take him. I'd take him, man. You put him on the other side of Parsons, and let's roll. Let's go eat. You know what I mean? Because you think about Bosa with, and I know that when they signed Khalil Mack, that was part of the thing, was that Bosa and Khalil Mack had never really panned out. But and that's another name as far as the Patrick, Khalil Mack. He's another guy that's out there. I would have interest in both of those guys, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd take a look at both of them and see what kind of price you're getting for them. Look, the thing is that you're looking at some of these free agents right now, and there is undoubtedly talent out there to be had. And, so somebody's going to go out there and somebody's going to start, snagging these guys up. Why not the Dallas Cowboys? We got money. You know what I mean? Let's go out and get some of these guys, man. I'm hungry, as Eugene would say. I'm hungry.
We are definitely hungry, and we're hungry for the draft, and we are going to be gearing up. We're going to get through this free agency, but it's been long overdue since our guy Jay Tuck has blessed us with his presence in the cave. So we're going to get together with him and try and set a date to do a draft show with him. He's got a lot of insight. If you're not watching him, he had a guy from the U. I'm slowly converting him. He had a guy in the U on the show, but he's doing some interviews with some college guys. So he was out at the combine. So he's got a lot of draft knowledge, the wizard himself. So we're going to have him coming in. We're going to get some draft stuff, but also we're going to do a live mock draft. And I think I've got everyone lined up. But if anyone's interested, you could definitely throw your name in a hat. Just message Kelly or myself on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, whatever the hell it is. There's also, you can go to cowboyscave.com. The email address is there. You can email us if you don't have any social media, and let us know you're interested. But we're going to do, each one of you guys are going to come in and do a round. We're going to put your names in a hat, figure out which round you get and which pick you get. So we're gonna make that happen. We'll have some fun. I know Tuck's a Hampton fan. I like Hampton. I'm biased to Martinez. I seen him play, and
And look, I'm not saying that I'm not a Hampton fan. I've watched some of his tape. He's a guy that's definitely intriguing. Looks explosive. Looks like he could be a guy that could come in and be a playmaker. Again, it's not a knock on Hampton. I just don't think I'm taking him at 12. If the Cowboys took Genty at 12, I wouldn't complain about that either, but Hampton would be a guy that I would just feel like that's a bit of a reach. I would feel like that the Cowboys could trade back from 12. I feel like they could trade back probably 17, 18, 17 to 20-ish is what I would think.
And get that fourth back.
And still be able to grab him. So, my thing is, again, it's gotta be an impact player right away. So whether it's Hampton, whether it's Genty, whether it's McMillan, whether it's Mbuka, no matter who it is, they gotta come in and they gotta be a playmaker right away. There cannot be no time to let these dudes develop. They gotta come in and they gotta be a dog right away. We need dogs.
Like Apollo told Rocky, there is no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
We don't have time. So, hey, we appreciate it all, guys, and we were gonna wrap up the show. Definitely, it's great, getting 300 plus of you guys in here hanging in the cave. We're here every Wednesday. We do a live show on Monday. Kelly, one of us sometimes pop in from time to time, so you always want to make sure that you hit that alert bell, because you never know when we're going to be popping in here with some news or just chopping it up with you. So definitely, we appreciate it. Appreciate the love. We will see you guys, if not sooner. We'll definitely see you next Wednesday. Is Wednesday we got a special guest?
Wednesday, yes. We got Attack on Cowboys from the Attack on Cowboys podcast. I think he's got about 28,000 subscribers. So we got a pretty big platform. Bringing him on the show to talk some football. He's definitely an outspoken guy. I've watched some of his videos. He does not hold back. Him and Terrence Parsons were going at it, man. They were back and forth with each other on his podcast. And then, respectful, but he definitely was not holding back what he felt and how he thought about things, and was not at all pulling any punches when it came to Parsons and how he felt about some of the things that Micah Parsons has said in the media. So that's going to be interesting to talk with him, because he's always got an interesting perspective. So, yeah, we've got him coming on next Wednesday night. And just real quick, shameless plug, shout out. I'm always wanting to talk about my guys. March Madness. March Madness is coming up, fellas. And if you were looking for somebody to put on the championship line of your NCAA tournament bracket, maybe you guys, maybe you should just take a look at Texas Tech. They won it again tonight, 91-75. Blew Colorado out, did what we needed to do. But hey, Mike, I was going to check with you real quick before we get off the show because I know we're wrapping this thing up. But I was thinking that maybe, and if it's an ordeal that you think may be too big to overtake, I would take it on and actually run this thing. I was thinking maybe we could do a Cowboys Cave March Madness. I know this is a football thing, but I'm thinking maybe we could get a March Madness thing going, get a little bracket going, and we could put something on the line for it, or just do it for bragging rights or something. I don't know. We could figure something out. Got a couple of weeks.
We will come up. I love it. I say put it together, get it going, do a Cowboys Cave, get it on CBS or whatever app you want to use. We'll both promote it, and I'll think of a cool giveaway. We'll do a giveaway through the Cave, and we'll track it each week, and then maybe we have the winner on the show to accept their prize, and we'll make it a lot. I think we make a lot of fun because obviously it's the dog days, and March Madness
is something to keep these guys entertained.
Absolutely, and we could do the ranking sheets. We could do that. So Kelly, that's why you're the VP, the senior VP of marketing of the Cowboys Cave. You know how to get this right. So yeah, get it going, and that way we'll get it pumped out and get able to get the brackets as soon as they're out. So definitely appreciate everything, guys. You guys have a great weekend. If I don't see you any sooner, if we don't see you any sooner, you guys take care. Let me find the outro so we can make sure we get this thing right, wherever the hell it is. See, I'm a little rusty. It's been gone for a few days. You guys take care. We'll see you. Kelly, peace.
Peace.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.